Yeah.
Okay, so we just left out with John's lost.
And we're back.
The party ended by McGee Women's Hospital, and John went like 2 miles away from that. Just kept going. He's by the cathedral, which I find out later.
Cathedral of Learning. That's
No,
where I
not
am.
by the cathedral. He's in the valley underneath the bridge that's next to the Cathedral of Learning in Oakland.
Yeah, that's freaking.
And that's where he stays for like the next half hour.
There's like bikers and shit. I'm just like
Yeah,
trying to
so
look
he's just
tough so I don't
walking
get robbed.
So I got my best friend.
Flexed and shit, trying not to get beat up.
I got my best friend. He fell asleep in my bed. I got another friend who's hitting on the DD of the girl who's like head first, just like spitting, not even like throwing up, just like
It's just like foaming at the mouth.
just
Just
like
pouring
trying
out.
to breathe, but beer's coming out.
Oh.
So, and I'm like, dude, you either like no, you need to stop trying to hook up with her so she can take her friend home because I don't want to clean up puke all night. So he's like tries to make out with her, and I'm like, dude, seriously, like you're doing this in front, just go, just leave it. And she leaves. She leaves her friend. So I'm like, cool. So I got somebody's passed out in my bed. I got somebody's throwing up in my hallway. My best friend's gone, and my girlfriend hates me right now. And then I got the one awake person, and he's hammered. And he's like, dude, let's keep drinking. And I'm like, no, we can't keep drinking. No, we're not doing that. We're gonna find my friend. And he's like, all right, man, I can do this. So
Inspirational music.
we walk out the front door, and he's like, where's your car? And I'm like, dude, just sit here for a second. And I'm like, there's my car. And I turn around, and he'd already fallen asleep. In like 45 seconds, he had come out and been like, let's do this, and fallen asleep. And I called John, and I'm like, John, where the hell are you? And he's
A different friend of his
he's
hit on the DD as a friend that was passed out.
I'm by a brick road. I went down a hill. I'm like, you're in Pittsburgh.
Past the
There are a
mailbox.
lot of hills. So he's like, just come find me. I went and I didn't like because I needed to get beer. I'm like, John, you don't make any sense right now. Like I've gone from like having a good time to like I'm going to kill all of them when they sober up. All of them. So I wake Benedict up. I'm like, you seriously fell asleep? And he's like, no, man, I'm good. Let's go. I'm like, do you want to come with me? I'm like, I feel like you should just come with me. He's like, all right. So he gets in the car, and as soon as he gets in the car, he slumps all the way down, like, below the window. So you can't even see his head. And I'm like, do you want me to crack the window? And all I see is arms. And it's like, no, man. So we start driving, and we get into like the heart of Oakland, which is like closer to the cathedral, closer to him, because I find out that he passed a post office somewhere in the past 45 minutes. So I'm like, dude, all right, I'm gonna just keep driving around there. He's like, all right, I'm by a post office. He wasn't by the post office. He was down the hill and around like 6 blocks away from the post office. Way away from that. So we're driving through there. And Benedict, my friend, pops away. Just this moment of clarity. So he thinks I'm talking to Mickey, so he rolls down the window and he leans out of it as I'm driving around trying to call John. And he's like, fucking Mickey! Where you at, Mickey? And I'm like, I'm not talking to Mickey, I'm talking to John. He's like, where you at, Mickey? And John's like, I think I hear that. And I'm like, so I'm close. And he's like, yeah, I think you're close. So we pull up to a stop sign, and there's 2 cop cars parked across the street from me. And I'm staring at the cops. And then I turn and glance, and it's just an ass. Because Benedict is hanging outside of just like draped on my windowsill of the passenger side, just throwing up. So I hit the gas, and it just smears vomit down the side of my car. And he's like, and I like drag him back in. I'm like, dude, you have to get in the car. As I have the phone, and I'm turning down the brick road that John was on. So we get down to the bottom of the brick road, and I pull Benedict in, and he's like, did we find him? I'm like, I think so. And John's just like sitting at the edge of this parking lot under a street light. Just this happy little guy that was just like, ah! And then he like walks over, And he hops in the car, and I'm like, I don't even want. He's like, dude, are you mad at me? And I'm like, I don't. No, I'm not mad at you. We're gonna go home now. So we get home, and my super gay friend is laying in my bed still, and the girl's still puking in the hallway. And I throw out some pillows for each of them, and I leave them both on the floor. And I'm like, I gotta go patch things up with my girlfriend. So I'm like, I walk through, I get my shoes sticky, and I'm like, I can't even deal with this right now. So I'm like, fuck this house, fuck the people in it right now, I gotta leave. So I lock all the doors, and I go, and I patch things up. And in the middle of the night, John pops awake for just 2 minutes, and Alex leans over.
No,
My
this
super
is
gay
before
friend.
I went to bed.
And he leans
remember
over and
this.
he's like, he pats on the bed and he's like, you can lay up here. And like falls back asleep. And John was just like,
John never told me that part.
Gone.
You never told me that part, John.
Wait, man.
comfortable. He could have been
It was
comfortable.
you left, and Benedict was already out cold on the floor.
Yeah, dude,
I
he was
was
out
starting
when
to
you
sober up by
walked
this
in.
point, and I turned the light off, and all I heard was, and I just started laughing, man. And then I was like, no. I asked him the next morning if he remembered. He said, no, I'm sorry. When I drink tequila, I think everybody's gay. Okay, Alex.
And the Wookiee, so I came back the next morning, and they're like just like getting up. There's like piles of drawers, just like they wake up, and we're like examining the house. Sometime the girl in the hall left, but the bucket's there, and there's a little bit of something I don't want to deal with. And we go outside, and we're like, dude, whatever happened to the Wookiee backpack? And then all we see is like that pretzel can with the 2 hoses. And we're like, that was a good night. That was a very good night.
Immediately.
And we kept it. We just like held on to it and used it at the next house crawl.
Everything's just
Badass.